you guys, it's Elle and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about one of the most requested topics that I really ever get, and it's actually something that I suffer with as well, and that is actually keeping foundation on your nose. And I'm going to be giving you two different ways to do it, one that's going to be for every day and one that's going to be for a little bit more special occasions. So if you want to know more about that, hit that subscribe button and let's do it. All right, so for every day and for special occasions, you want to prime your face, but I use a different primer on my nose a lot of times, and I can't believe I actually have never really talked about it. But if you want the same primer, go ahead and use that all over the face. If you want to do that, I really recommend the Ren Perfect Canvas. It's amazing. It gives a mattifying effect, but it's also great for dry skin, but it also has agave nectar in it instead of silicone, so it gives a stick to the skin. You want something that has a little bit of a stick. You don't want to have a ton of hydration in that area. So the reason why, makeup doesn't stick to the nose very well is, well, for several reasons, because we touch it a lot, but also because it is an area that does kind of sweat and move, and it has a lot of ridges. It also has a little bit different skin than the rest of our face. So it is not like the most conducive to makeup, but a lot of it is, it just has a lot of perspiration. Even if you don't see it, the nose does have a tendency to get more shiny or oily throughout the day. Some people that are severely dry will get really shiny right here, and that is just a reason because the oils are coming up from the nose, it's breaking up the makeup, etc. So what I like to do is I like to use something like this. This is Pores No More by Dr. Brandt. It's fantastic because it's mattifying. It also hides pores and has a lot of stick to it. Also, the Tatcha Silk Canvas would be a great primer to use in that area because of the skincare benefits as well as it has a stick to it. But I am actually going to be using the Ren Perfect Canvas, which I actually have all over my skin already with a little bit of foundation. But I wanted to show you how to do the nose area, so I have nothing on there right now. So I'm just going to take a little bit of primer and work this into this area and a little bit up the bridge. And you definitely want to let the primer sit for a few moments before you move on. Now, if you are doing a everyday, things don't stick to your nose, but you don't want to do several million steps, I recommend leaving foundation off of your nose and making sure whenever you're using your skincare, make sure you don't overhydrate that area. So maybe just some serums and a very light moisturizer. I then recommend, after your primer is on, to use a matte concealer. So a matte concealer that I absolutely love, I think it's well worth the price, I think that it's going to last you forever, is the NARS, what they call this, they call this soft matte. I'm in vanilla, and this is what I do almost all the time, is I will use that matte concealer and I will literally put it all over my nose and I will set it with a powder, and that is it. It gives me about 5 to 6 hours of wear time. You can also set it with a setting spray, which I will show you guys in a little bit, to create that longevity that you're looking for as well. Okay, so every day, just use a great sticky primer. There's also that K1 or jelly pack, and I know that Dermablend just came out with a brand new primer. I'll try to link those below so you guys can check those out, and they're kind of really sticky. That's what you want. And then just use a matte concealer, okay? And no foundation, just a matte concealer, set it with some powder, and you're on your way. Now, if we're talking about for a special event, or if you really have a hard time doing this, or you really have a hard time with foundation or anything sticking to your nose, this is the next technique. So what you're going to want to do is, this is going to sound very odd, but just bear with me here. Take a translucent powder that is matte. I am using the Dermablend translucent setting powder, and I'm just going to dust a little bit of powder over the primer. And now this is very similar to the video that I did a little while ago about an amazing tip for oilier skin or skin that, just doesn't hold makeup, which is to put powder on first and then your foundation. Okay. And the reason why we're not doing this to the rest of the face, because if you are dry, it can dry that your area out, okay? But all right, so we have that on, primer on, powder first, just a very light dusting. It's not super aggressive. We're not baking, we're not packing the powder on. We're just applying a powder first. And what that's gonna do is gonna help the foundation adhere to the skin, okay? Now, take a long wearing foundation. I have on right now my Dermablend drops. I love the Estee Lauder Double Wear. I also love the Air Flash from Dior. I also love the Sephora Air Brush Foundation. Anything that has a long wearing capability. The Cover Effects Foundation. Anything that says long wearing or water resistant or anything like that. Since I have the Dermablend all over my face, I am going to use that today, and I'm going to use it full strength. I'm not going to mix it with anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to also take my sponge and I'm going to hit it with setting spray, okay? So this is the Skindinavia setting spray. This is the one that has alcohol in it, okay? So I don't want you to be confused. This is not a rehydrating spray. You need something that has alcohol in it so it makes it stay. Again, this is why I say this is not for every day. This is definitely for more of a special occasion. All right, so I'm going to take my Dermablend drops, put them on my hand, just a little bit. And then I am going to take my sponge that is already saturated with my setting spray and tap that on. You can also use a brush that has setting spray on it, but I just have a tendency to like this a little bit more, this method. And you want to blend it up your forehead all around your nose. All right, just like that. And then I will take a little bit on my finger and just make sure that it is really nice and the product is distributed. You can already feel it drying faster than it normally would because of the powder, the primer, and the setting spray on your sponge. Now, I usually like to use a foundation that's long wearing, like I said, but one that is thin. Also, the Cover Effects drops would be great for this. The NYX drops would be great for this. Something that is much more of a liquid. So you're building sheer layers on the nose, okay? And I'm just tapping this in, tapping that in. All right, so that part is done. Then what you're gonna do is you're going to hit it with a setting spray again, okay? And then you want to let that sit. You want to let that dry and do its thing, okay? All right. Then you want to take a, for me, I like to use the Hourglass New Mineral Veil Powder because yes, it's mattifying, but not to the extreme where it's going to make your skin look fake. It does have diamond powder in it, so it does have a little bit of flexibility to the eye, so that's what we're looking for, okay? So I'm going to take a little bit of this powder, same brush, any brush you want to use, and then you're going to want to just lightly set this area. You don't really need to do a lot of setting because that we've already set so many different layers, but you definitely want to just make sure that that product does have powder over it, okay? And if you're wondering, this is a MAC brush, and I have no idea what it is because it's so old. I will try to find it, but this is one of the brushes I really do like. All right, so that is basically that set and ready to go. And it doesn't look cakey, it doesn't look fake, it doesn't look like you're wearing a ton of product on your nose. And then what you'll do is you'll finish, you know, whatever else you have to finish, and then you hit it one more time with setting spray, okay? And it's really important to allow the setting spray each time you do it to dry, okay? So you don't want to go back in with powder over setting spray that's still wet. Let it do its thing. Let it do its thing, all right? So I'm just going to come up really close so you can see what the foundation looks like on the nose. It looks really great and perfected, and then this will give you a lot more wear time. All right, so that is it. It is definitely a couple steps, but if this is something that's a really big deal for you, using these steps and doing these steps are going to be life-changing. So again, thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Lots of love from me to you. Mwah. Bye, guys.